there, everyone. Sam Leterna here. I'm joined now for a first-time interview with Laynie Luck. Laynie, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm very excited to do an interview with you. I've been looking forward to this.
Thank you so much. I'm excited too. You've been all around the country over the last year. And of course, top of mind, the reason we're doing this interview is because you are one of the lovely ladies of the PWI 500 this year, jumping quite a few spots. We will get into that in just a bit. But Bell to Bells was nice enough to set this up for us. So thank you, Bells to Bells. And thank you so much to PWI. Lainey, let's talk AEW and ROH because you've been all over the place over the past 3 months. How was it competing for Ring of Honor after a bit of I would say, a standstill in their women's division, being a part of that resurgence, that rebirth at Ring of Honor?
It was so cool, especially like be on the first episode of them having women back and everything. It was, I don't want to, no puns intended, but it was an honor, literally. Ring of Honor has always been a destination place for me. I actually did a dark match for them back in like 2015, 2016, maybe, against a Texas legend, Jessica James. And like just going from like this dark match that no one ever gets to see and whatever, and I still have like my first paid envelope from them to being on the first ever Women of Honor, like Women's Division Wednesday. I mean, excuse me. It was just huge and like such a big goal of mine to check off on the list.
And of course, you got the opportunity to go one-on-one against Rok-C, two Texas gals going at it. Do you guys have a history, or was that like a first-time matchup?
No, that was our first ever singles match. I think we were in a four-way together one time, so we got to interact a tiny bit, but it was our very first singles match, and I was so excited to like represent Texas with her on such a big stage.
Yes, absolutely. And you are from Texas, but you live in Chicago right now, right? You've lived there for a few years.
Yeah, I've been up here for about 3 years now, I think.
What made you decide to make the move from Texas to Chicago?
I always knew like I had to get out like at some point because when you start in Texas, everyone tells you Texas is a black hole. You can't make a name here. You got to get out. You got to go somewhere. So I said, all right, you got it. So I actually originally left because my then boyfriend was doing a deal with NWL in Kansas City, St. Louis area. They were doing all that stuff, signing contracts and whatever. So that's what originally got me out of Texas. And then they obviously didn't work out. So I had to say, where are we going next? And I knew it was literally between like Chicago or the East Coast. So I'm like, those are the two booming places. It seems to be where people go if they want to make a name. And so I had my first Chicago show at Zello Pro. And just after like experiencing the crowd here, and like I became good friends with Kylie, and she introduced me to Jeff, my fiance now.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
couldn't leave. I was like, all right, I think this is a place I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? The wrestling kept you there, but the love was like an added bonus, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah,
Finding that place,
100%.
which is so beautiful, and we'll get to that awesome viral video. But I want to talk a little bit more about Texas because did you ever think when you moved that Texas wrestling would be booming in 2020, 2021?
No, absolutely not. Like as for like my whole training period and like the couple years that I was working there, like I said, everyone was just like, no one knows you outside of Texas. Regardless how big you are in Texas, no one knows about it. But now with like so many places having access to streaming, to IWTV, to Fight
Oh
TV,
yeah,
like it's honestly possible to make your name almost anywhere.
definitely. Would you ever consider moving back to Texas, or is Chicago now your official home?
Would love to get signed somewhere and have money and be able to go back to Texas or at least someplace warm.
Oh
But
yeah,
realistically, I don't think I'm ever going to get Jeff out of here. So I think I'm just going to be, maybe we'll do like a vacation home in Texas and like a summer home in Chicago. Like
yeah.
maybe,
Oh my God, that sounds so extravagant. I love it.
yeah, that would be the goal.
Yes, but anything is possible because you have been wrestling a few years now, and over the past few years, you definitely have made a name for yourself, both in the Chicago area as well as in women's wrestling in general. Evidenced by the PWI, of course, Pro Wrestling Illustrated 2020. You made it at number 455 And this year, you jumped 250 spots. Oh my gosh. I don't think that's ever happened before. To number 230. Did you think that you were going to make that big of a leap in the middle of a pandemic?
No, oh my, I was so shocked when I found out like what my number was, 230. Like I hoped I was gonna jump a little bit just because like I had been doing work during the pandemic and everything. But to jump that much was a really big surprise for me. And I feel like I really have Freelance Underground to thank for that, for giving me a platform to wrestle so many men with big names and just so many intergender matches. Like there where I really have had the most intergender matches, and they've given me the most opportunity to show what I can do against very talented men, and I'm very appreciative of them for that.
Well, to that note, do you think that women who rank on the PWI would have better rankings if they did intergender? Or do you think that women who strictly compete as women's wrestlers also have a chance, I guess, to climb that high to, in the 250s range with just women's wrestling experience?
At this point, I don't think that just wrestling women will get you up that high, only because like I'm pretty sure that they were talking about this on Twitter, that just like women's titles like aren't ranked as high as men's. They don't like have the prestige and everything. So like you kind of do have to wrestle men to like jump up in that category. But I would love to see more promotions have like women's title, or not even gender titles, just like titles for everyone to fight for, and to just give them the same amount of respect and prestige as a heavyweight title or a world title, anything like that.
Well, I think we're starting to see small signs of hope in that respect with the Pan African title, which was just
Yes.
designated as the world title. Oh my God, love that for Trish and anyone else who might hold that in the future. If she ever, loses that title, who knows? But same in the Northeast with chaotic wrestling. They just introduced the Panoptic title, which is supposed to be for all genders, open to all people, all competitors. And Becca is currently holding that, and she's ready to kick anyone's butt. She's a tough one. But let's talk future plans, Laynie. Do you want to go to Mexico? I feel like you're like Lucha Laynie, People know you as like the luchador of Chicago.
Yes, I Mexico is huge on my list. I'm just waiting for this pandemic to, wrap it up. Everybody get your freaking vaccines so the borders open
Great.
up, we can do whatever we want. But I definitely do have plans to go to the UK, Japan, and Mexico once everything's open and ready to go.
And as far as contracts and stuff like that, I know that you've mentioned that. Do you have a particular place on your mind, or maybe places that you would want to go before maybe getting to a.
Oh, you disappeared.
Oh no, okay, I don't know what
Okay,
this
now I can hear you again. You're
is.
back.
I'm just gonna kind of re-intro into that because I don't know if that'll mess up the
Okay.
articles. Okay. Um, okay.
Contract.
Yes. But speaking of, traveling to different places, the UK, Mexico, Japan, um, I know that everyone usually has a final destination in wrestling, but is there somewhere or some place that of all the other places, maybe a company that you would consider to be like a stepping stone, kind of like how you've always wanted to compete for Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to have a contract with Ring of Honor, just because how much focus they are putting on their women's division. I really
Um,
do feel like that it's gonna be something big. But I also like would love, I mean, MLW is just starting their women's division, and I would love, love, love a chance with them, especially, when they come to Chicago. Like I'm here, so
oh
they hit me up. But I mean, I really just would love to also like dip my toes in Impact and just like be able to feel like every separate company's like vibes and what the locker rooms are like and everything. Because I mean, the ROH locker room, I love them. Obviously, I'm friends with all the ladies that are over there, and the AEW locker room, I've worked with most of those ladies on the independents, so I already know them, have relationships with them. That would be so cool. And just like how big they are and they're gonna be in the next few years, I would be so sick to be a part of. But I am like, I see the next few years me just kind of bouncing around and feeling it out, and then hopefully having an offer to make a decision on sometime.
Yes. Well, manifest it, visualize it. It'll absolutely happen. I'm a big believer in that kind of stuff. Um, but I guess, this is kind of something that a lot of women, particularly over the past year, have, I guess, gotten more comfortable talking about. And that's, work culture for women in wrestling, right? And of course, you mentioned wanting to bounce around to a couple of different places. Would that also be to like find a place that like best suits you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would want somewhere where I'm like comfortable and I'm having a good time because it's like just because you're wrestling doesn't mean you're going to be happy, like as evidence as we've seen from the
Yeah,
big place.
yeah.
Just because you're having your dream job doesn't mean it's at with your dream coworkers. Like I lost my train of thought.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. They're gonna edit this up anyway. I don't have any control of it, but yeah, they're gonna watch this and they'll edit it. But wait, let's see. Just like in a regular workplace where you have to pick your coworkers, you had said,
Yes.
wrestling is different, right? People treat wrestling like it's this like crazy thing, and it is. But at the end of the day, a lot of us have other jobs outside of wrestling where we also have to traverse those kind of like weird waters with like creepy guys or creepy bosses or just unprofessional people. It's not just in wrestling, right? But we have quite a few oddballs in wrestling. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Like and you never know until you're kind of there. I feel like from the outside, you can be like, oh, this is my dream place to work. But then it's like the culture and how things are ran and like maybe politics and stuff. Like maybe it's not your dream place. So I would just love to get a little inside peek to everywhere and then be able to like see where I truly want to go.
I feel the same way, but it's a little bit different for broadcasters. So I guess we'll just see where the putty sticks. But women are obviously grabbing a bunch of opportunities around the wrestling world today, but 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, we didn't have the amount of representation that we have today for women. So my question to you is, who's a woman that you think deserved to be on the PWI way back when, before there was a women's 100, or now in 2021, we'll have a women's 150?
How exciting, first of all, to expand it like that. Like, how long until it's the PWI 200, 300, etc.? Like, there's so many women in wrestling now. Like, I believe that we could truly fill out like a 200. Honestly, I'd say we could do a 300 list
Oh
currently.
yeah.
But I think there's so many like women to name and like that deserve to be on some kind of list that deserved all this recognition. But I would say like the top one that comes to my head is probably Portia Perez. I feel like
Oh
she
yeah.
did so much for women's wrestling, and she was one of the first people that I like studied, like actually studied their matches and like tried to learn stuff from, just because like she was a huge name in Texas. Like when I was coming up, she was like the one everyone looked to. So I think it's a big miss that she never made it on any PWI list.
And it's so unfortunate that there's so many women that have kind of been lost in this shuffle in history. A lot of people refer to like the early to mid 2000s as like the lost era for women's independent wrestling. People like Allison Danger, Daisy Hayes, and Portia, of course, not necessarily getting the recognition in their day. But now, thankfully, we have people like you and other wrestlers who look up to and even, study tape of these women, which is so inspiring. And Lainey, I just want to finish it off with this. Let's see. Dream opponent anywhere, anytime, any place. Who would it be?
I think right now my dream match, my top priority dream match would be Serena Deeb.
Okay, okay. I can see y'all mixing it up, and it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I know,
Maybe
huh?
you never know.
I just feel like she like has a little bit of everything, of every style, and can like adapt to so much. And I would also eventually like to be that kind of wrestler. So I think I could just learn so much from being in a ring with her.
And someone who's transcended that lost era in women's wrestling to teach so many other women after her, right? So very inspiring in that sense. But Lainey, thank you so much for your time. Bell to bell, PWI. Thank you so much for allowing me to interview one of the lovely ladies of the PWI 500, Lainey. And I hope that I get to see you at some point in person when this pandemic is over and we're living like relatively normal again.
Yeah, for real. Cross our fingers.
Yes, fingers crossed. And I hope you get to Mexico, genuinely, once this pandemic is done. Guys, please, please, please follow Laynie. All of the info is going to be in the bio below because this is also going to be on Wrestle T. But also give a follow to Bell to Bells, PWI, and of course support Laynie, buy her merch. Link is in my bio. Thank you very much.